Nation. I'm John Darden, and this is The Nation. Today we have got a pretty awesome kid. I say kid, turning into a grown man very quickly. In a little different episode today in our player spotlight, we have yet to have a recruit in the studio with us, but today we have got a name that you are going to know very soon, Red Raider Nation. So give it up for Justin, Texas Northwest High School stud QB, Jake Strong. Jake.
What's going on?
What's up, my man?
Nothing much.
Welcome to the show, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
So we're fresh off of the UT game, UT victory yesterday. I want to start off by talking about this real quick. You were here. You were here with your mom and dad. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that game. What was that experience like for you yesterday?
That was something else. The whole game was kind of back and forth. You know, there was 14 commits there. We're all sitting next to each other, and we're down, front row on the 50-yard line, and you can't really see a whole lot down there. So we're all looking at the Jumbotron. So you're watching the Jumbotron, it's delayed, and you hear the screams, and you have to wait for it to happen. So then our reactions are all delayed. But, just through the whole game, you're trying to decipher, okay, where's the momentum shift? What's going to happen here and there. And then, watching all that come down, we're like, oh, we need this right here. Oh, we need this right here. And then it happens. We're like, okay, ball's rolling. Let's keep it going. And then it was just kind of crazy because, we're watching the game, as fans, but we're also envisioning ourselves and talking about, oh, man, if we want to be on the sidelines right now, we don't want to be in the stands. Right. And so it was definitely something that was really foreshadowing for us. And so I think we all had a great time, and especially, storming the field with everybody. First time since 2008 in Lubbock.
Did you get out there?
I did.
Yeah.
I made my way out there, and then, walking around saying congrats to Coach Kittley and all the different players, and then having all the fans, people flying past you that you don't really see. It's a lot of people on the field at one time, so you're kind of ducking and diving, trying not to get hit. I saw one security guard just got completely just trucked over.
Oh, no.
And so that was kind of funny. And actually, watching that happen, McGuire was standing right there, and he stopped to pick him up. So that's kind of shows some insight into who McGuire is too. I know we'll talk about that a little bit later on, but no, it was really great. Really great experience to be a part of. I've been here for now 2 overtime games.
Yeah.
The Houston one and that one now, and we're undefeated in overtime, so that's a great stat to have.
Well, maybe you're a good luck charm too. So maybe that's some foreshadowing for the future as well.
Yeah.
So you're an early commit to Tech, committed back in January. Are we 100% solid?
Yes, 100%.
So we're not backtracking at all.
No.
I mean, the fans got to know.
Nick Saban,
right?
Georgia could walk in the door and thanks, but no thanks.
You heard it here, Red Raider Nation. This is a 100% solid commit. I see mom and dad's eyes getting big back there too. Nick Saban walks in, and he sees the security guard get run over. He's probably going to kick the security guard when he's down. Coach McGuire is going to pick him up, so I appreciate you said that. You committed early.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about that. Why?
Going through my recruiting process, I kind of have a different process compared to most kids. I think most kids kind of have an outside influence on a dream school or a place that their parents want them to go, or there's a player that they watch that they idolized and took a lot of mentorship from. I didn't really have that. I followed guys, of course, just because I follow the game. But I didn't really have a dream school. I didn't have a place, an environment that I just had to have no matter what. So that kind of really let all options flow through my head and think over everything logically from a position that best suits me. And so going through that recruiting process, to start it out, me and my family sat down and we talked about things that I felt important about, and things that I wanted in not only a football program but a coaching staff that translate you into a young man, because there's life after football. And so talking about those things, it kind of gave me a template, and whichever school fit that template, it made it really simple. And so I didn't need a bunch of offers to validate who I am as a person or as a player or as a teammate or as a leader. And so Tech fit that template, and they loved me, and they've supported me from as long as I can remember. You know, me and Coach McGuire have a long-standing relationship. I knew him since the 5th or 6th grade, pretty sure 5th grade. And so we've had a great relationship from that point moving all the way to now. And then me and Coach Kittley, he was actually my first FBS offer back when he was at WKU.
Right.
And so he and I have had a great standing relationship as well. And from the moment he offered me and I got that phone call in the summer, from that point on, it's always been, hey, how you doing? Hey, how's life? Hey, how are your parents? How's your sister? You know, and that speaks a lot about who they are as coaches. And so that was the biggest piece, is knowing what I was looking for. And so they fit that template, and I stuck with it. And, you know, I'm a love who loves me.
I think Red Raider Nation, you're going to see very quickly already in this first response. How old are you, Jake?
18.
When's your birthday?
December. So
you're getting we are getting a very mature, wise, beyond his years QB, which is impressive.
It's funny you said that exactly how you said it, because Coach Poe, whenever he gets asked to talk about me, I'm not even kidding when I say this, his phrase that he says about me to almost everybody he talks to is he's wise beyond his years. And so it's kind of funny that you said that exactly like that.
Well, you know, I think that's really important, especially from a quarterback position, is you have to, you know, a good quarterback knows all 22 positions.
And then some.
And then some, right? Like you've got to know what your right guard is doing, and you've got to know what the strong safety is doing, and you have to know what the defensive end is doing, and you have to know everybody's routes and get everybody. I mean, so it takes it takes a high IQ person and a mature person to run a successful offense.
And then on top of that, you have to be able to process it at a speed that's faster than these guys who are already fast.
Ooh, well said. It's tough, right?
Yeah.
It's tough. And
hardest
Texas
position in sports.
I completely agree. And Texas Tech has always had a stable of excellent quarterbacks. Right, like right now we've got 3: Shuck, Donovan, Barron, 3 solid quarterbacks,
and 3 solid dudes as well.
3 solid guys, no doubt. And going back to Keenan's not here because he's recovering from last night, but going back to when Keenan was here, right? We had Baker Mayfield, Davis Webb, and Patrick Mahomes all on the same time, same roster. So it's to play quarterback at Texas Tech takes a lot up here. How much did it play into your decision, knowing that you've got a Kittley offense where you as the quarterback have complete control of what's going on once you've learned it and earned the right?
Right.
Did that play a role into your decision, knowing, okay, this is my offense. I can audible to what I want to at any point. I'm in complete control here.
I wouldn't be lying if I said it didn't. I mean, that's kind of a quarterback's dream, and you said something about that. You know, once you've earned the right. You know, I think that's the biggest thing as a quarterback. You know, everybody at college can throw the ball. Mm-hmm. Everybody in college is going to be physically gifted. That's kind of that's the level that you're at, right? So I think the biggest piece about being a successful quarterback at the college level is earning that right, you know, earning that way. And I think you do that through winning the locker room, putting in the work with your actions before you can even open your mouth. You know, going into high school, I had that same philosophy, you know, put your head down and work. And so that still translates whenever you move on to that next level. Anytime you come into a new locker room and a new environment, whether it's the workforce, you know, football team, you have to kind of earn your stripes, you know, military even.
Sure.
You know, you have to earn your stripes, and you have to do that through your actions. You know, you can say all you want, and there's a lot in today's world that people just talk a lot. Not a lot of people do what they're saying. And so I kind of flipped that. I'm going to do what I'm going to do before I even say anything. And so I think once you earn that trust, that bond, that chemistry with that locker room, then you can really strive in that offense. Because then now, your X's and O's, that's part of the game. That's expected of you. As a quarterback, tendencies, you're looking at different things that's going to tell you keys. But at the end of the day, if you and that receiver, you and that left tackle, and you and that running back are on the same page because you don't trust each other, then it's not going to work. And so I think to play in this offense, there's a lot more to it than just the offense. Kittley is more than just an offensive coordinator. And so I think all of that encompasses back to why I committed here. But to answer your question in a straightforward manner, it's going to be special to play in this offense. It's quarterback's dream. As a quarterback who wants, and my ultimate goal is to go play in the NFL, you couldn't ask for a better situation because you're thrown into these situations where you have to make checks at the line. You have to know your fronts, know your coverages, know your schemes defensively to be able to put yourself in a successful position. Talking with Kittley, whenever he talks about his offense, he's going to call play. But then again, once that play is called, it's on us to put the offense and the team in a successful position. So if you see something on the field, you don't like it, you don't think it's going to be successful, you can change it right there. And so I think that's really big as a developmental piece for a quarterback, to really scale and continue to grow and not peak.
I kind of feel like I'm sitting down talking with Josh Allen or Matthew Stafford or something. Like, it's just rare to have this kind of a conversation with a high school athlete. This is really, mom, dad, sitting behind the camera. Kudos. It's impressive. And we were talking with your dad, joking around a little bit before. Like, Dean should be on this podcast because of his wealth of football knowledge. So when we run it back again, Dean's going to be sitting down here with us too. But it's impressive, Jake, to hear you dissect everything that you're saying.
Kudos to him because I learned it from him because he's definitely micromanager of the house, 100%. But that's a good thing, Yeah, it starts to get a little annoying sometimes if you're like, okay,
hey, we keep it real in this room, Dad.
Right? You're like, yeah, I got it. But that constant, that's teaching you how to be that way because, NFL quarterbacks, when you hear them speak, it's all the small details, and so that's important. But I say that because I don't even know where I was going with it. Actually,
well, maybe I can finish this for you, and maybe you're not going this way, but this is where my head goes. Is I feel like the evolution from going to high school to college and then definitely into pros it's a growth process for you,
right?
It's a growth process for mom and dad, right? Where all of a sudden there's big money involved in wearing that double T, right? Mm-hmm. Like if Lubbock, Texas made a lot of money yesterday because of that victory. Mm-hmm. So there's so many things that come into play with a D1 Power 5 Texas Tech University where this city just focuses so much on that helmet. And the evolution of, okay, I'm a high school athlete. Boom. Now in college, this is business time. Mm-hmm. It's business now.
Because it's bigger than football at that point. Mm-hmm. You say everybody looks at that double T. Well, you see that logo and you know exactly what it is, whether you follow football or not. And being in the position that I'm wanting to be in and that Patrick Mahomes is in, they're not just a representation of the football program. They're a representation of this community, this town, this everything that this town stands for and the work ethic. And so everybody looks at him. Yeah, he's the Kansas City Chiefs quarterback, but he's also the Texas Tech quarterback. Yeah. And still
dies and bleeds the red and black.
Right. And whether he likes it or not, it's always going to be that way. Mm-hmm. And so I take it personal whenever we start talking or not, whenever I start thinking about these things. This is something I take personal because it's not just about me. It's not just about Coach McGuire. It's not about just Coach Kittley. It's not about my other teammates on the field. It's about the kid who's in elementary school wanting to do the same thing that I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's bigger than just football.
Well, and Stacy and Dean, it's almost like, we should turn the camera around here, but it's almost like a little bit of a letting go for you all too, right? Like, okay, I mean, you obviously have a phenomenal teacher in Dean explaining the game, and y'all have, as we talked beforehand, y'all have had the opportunity to really rub elbows with a lot of people who really understand football, who have helped you become who you've become.
I remember where I was going with my other point.
Bring it out.
So, speaking on that, having a lot of opportunities to rub elbows with people, he's very smart, and we joke he should be an analyst for somebody somewhere when he retires. But the craziest thing to me is that everything he knows is just from listening to people that we've come in contact with. Yeah, he does his own research, but you can only do so much with your own research in the game of football, because without actually talking to people who have been there, you don't really know. Yeah. And so everything he knows and everything he talks about and that he preaches to me is all just reciprocated information from people that we've already come in contact with. And I think that's crazy, because for somebody who doesn't have the educational background that most do, he probably doesn't want me saying this, but he didn't even graduate high school, and now he's CEO, top company of something, and everything that he has been successful with, it's all been worked. He's had a rough childhood, and like most kids nowadays, they don't have it that rough. I don't have it that rough. I am very privileged, but there's a difference between being privileged and entitled, and being privileged and knowing how to work for something.
Yeah, and hungry still.
Right. I'm privileged, but I worked for everything. They made me earn everything.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a difference between, I think that whole process and everything about that speaks a lot about how they have raised me and my sisters, and how I'm going to raise my children, and how I'm going to carry myself in general.
Well, and it sets you up for a lot of success. And what's cool is you hear the gratefulness oozing out. And this is my first time to sit down with you all. Yeah. So it's fun. It's fun to hear that. Jake, you mentioned Patrick Mahomes, spending some time with him. That's rare. Mm-hmm. That's probably one of the busiest humans on the planet.
Yes.
How did that happen, and what was that like?
Just kind of a connection piece with my quarterback coach. He, Pat's got a house in South Lake, and I tweeted something out after a Tech basketball game or something, and he liked it, and then we just kind of had some correspondence back and forth, and it was kind of like, hey, when I'm in town again, we should link up. And so one domino fell to another, and then next thing you know, it's the middle of summer, and I'm skipping workouts to go train with Patrick Mahomes, which is not something you get very often.
No, you take full advantage of that. So what'd y'all do? What'd you learn?
It was kind of as far as, physically, it was kind of just a normal throwing session. He had some other guys. He has a couple of his NFL guys, but he also had some other we trained at All Saints, so there were some All Saints receivers there. So it was kind of a cool deal, because there's multiple levels there. And so I got to just kind of – I didn't throw a whole lot, because he's getting his work as well. But what I did get was just watching him, like how he works, how a pro handles work. And we trained for probably an hour max, but everything was very intentional. And everything was deliberate, and you could tell by the way he worked that he took pride in the small details. I mentioned before, everything's about details as a quarterback, and that was very much on display. And his quarterback coaches were there, but it's not really a teaching session. It was more of, as a quarterback, you have to be able to coach yourself. Your coach isn't going to be behind you during the game. And so just watching that whole dynamic and that whole relationship, I learned a lot about just how to handle yourself and how things actually work at that level. And the biggest thing is it wasn't foreign to me, and because I've been blessed and had opportunities to be around people who have been there. And so it was just a really good experience just to see how everything works.
Yeah. That's solid. I mean, to spend some time with the I mean, we're biased here at the Nation, obviously. We say Patrick is the greatest quarterback in the NFL. Fine, TB12, Tom Brady, maybe he's overall better. But
I don't know. He might be running his money right now.
He may be. You're right. But to be able to spend time with Patrick, that's cool. And does that, like in those moments, does the coolness of that get lost on you? Or can you kind of step back in that moment and be like, whoa, like 12-year-old Jake would be going crazy right now? Or is it business? Or is it a mixture of both when that's happening?
No, yeah, it is. It's strictly business. Mm-hmm. Afterwards, yeah, you can relish in the fact, wow, I got to work with Mahomes. But, I mean, in the moment, game recognizes game. Mm. I'm going to take away from something that I can learn. If I'm not, then I'm stupid and I'm wasting my time. Yeah. So, yeah, it is strictly business. After the fact, when I go home and I talk to my mom and my dad, how was it? Oh, yeah, it was cool. And then it's like, oh, wow, I really did just do that. And then, whenever I tell my teammates, like, oh my gosh, wow. But for me, it wasn't like that.
Well, because you have similar aspirations too, right?
And I've been around it. Mm-hmm. Mahomes isn't the first current or previous NFL quarterback I've been around. Right. I've been around the Craig Nalls, the Brad Johnsons, the whoever else. I've come in contact with a lot of people, and that's again credit to my parents because they've provided me opportunities. Mm-hmm. People call it privilege, I call it opportunities.
Sure.
I've been around many people, and I've heard a lot of people speak, and I think that because of that, I've been around the block. Yeah. And I really have, but I haven't, but I have, and so to speak. I've listened to people, and so I think having that, I didn't allow myself to be like, oh my gosh, this is Pat Mahomes, and Mahomes isn't a superstar. He's very down to earth, and he didn't treat me or any other high school kid there that was there working. He didn't treat anybody like they were lesser than or that they weren't in the league. He treated everybody the same, and it's work. Yeah. Game recognizes game.
Well, and credit to your attitude in that, and credit to your parents' work too. If you hang out with 5 idiots, you're the 6th idiot. If you hang out with or rub elbows with 5 NFL quarterbacks, then you'll probably be the 6th as long as you've got the talent and the drive. So that's impressive. That's cool. Tell us a little more about your experience and relationship with Coach McGuire. I mean, Lubbock. It's like Coach McGuire was born and raised in Lubbock at this point. I mean, you talk about a superstar in Lubbock, Texas. That's the guy. What's your experience been like with him?
I love that man, dude. You can't help but not love him. He's a salesman, but he's not a salesman because everything he says is real. The dude is genuine. Everything he says, everything he does, everything he says, he backs it up with his actions. And when I was on my official visit, we were in the cash talking, and he was talking about how much he loves his players and how much his players love him. And the only reason his players love him is because that's who he is. And he brought up, I can't remember who specifically, but he was talking about this guy, how this guy had just texted him that morning, and then he went around and showed people the text message. He's got evidence to back it up. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things, because there were some dudes there that were trying to get committed, obviously. We were successful with a lot of them. And so he challenged each one of us to go ask the other person on the other side who's also trying to get you to come to their program, okay, you speak about it, now show me the proof. And that's where I think McGuire separates himself, because everything he does, he's got not 1, not 2, but probably 10 sources that back up what he's preaching and how he's acting. And so I just think all of that speaks for itself. When I was trying to recruit this class, because that's something I wanted to do. I wanted to commit early and recruit a class. Through that whole process, when I'm talking to these guys, I can't – there's not a word I can make up to really – it's a feeling you get. When you're around McGuire, it's a feeling you get. And you're like, oh, I want to go play for this dude. Yeah. He can make you run through a brick wall for him, and he'll run through the same brick wall next to you where it's not broken yet. He's leading from the front on the horse. He's not in the back. And so there's not a lot of words that can describe him. It's just a feeling.
I'm getting goosebumps. And obviously, I was born and raised in Lubbock. I'm a diehard Red Raider, graduated from Tech 2008. I'm old. 2008, the last time that
they beat them.
Yep, that was my senior year of Tech. It's cool to get that perspective from you guys. Because we see that as fans, and we get to rub elbows with them a little bit more than the casual person, but still, there's a fence between us and the coaching staff to a degree. So to hear that from you guys.
What's crazy is, I tell these recruits and these people, you just got to go there and see for yourself. Okay, well, then they go see it for themselves, and they come back to me. They're like, you weren't lying.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know. Why would I lie? There's nothing to lie about. And so, he's just a great dude.
Well, y'all are on the fast track to very easily be the greatest recruiting class that Texas Tech football has ever had in its history. You were one of the early commits. I'm trying to think how I'm going to ask you this question, Jake. I'm just going to ask it straight. What has been your role in helping get some of these other guys to commit? Have you played a role in that?
Definitely, 100%. I think you could say my role is just kind of an extension of the coaching staff or an extension of what's already there, because I didn't have to, like I said, McGuire, everything is real, right? I didn't have to try and, I know the students out there can relate on this. I didn't have to write an English paper and try and make the connections and twist things and take little excerpts from the evidence and make the context clues match. I didn't have to do that. Everything spoke for itself. I just had to lay it all out in front of them and say, look at the facts, and you tell me what's the best situation to be in. Because especially in today's recruiting world, I'm not going to name names and I'm not going to point fingers, but you don't get a lot of real people. I've had people lie to my face with a smile on it. And that, as a person, I don't know how you can do that. I understand it's a business, but eventually that catches up with you. So I think the biggest thing is just the realness, I didn't have to make things up, and having that as a foundation and as a backboard to bounce things off of, it made it really, really simple and really easy. What are you going to argue with? You have the best offensive coordinator in the country. You have the best head coach in the country who has all these ties with Texas high school football, which is where 99% of our class is from, aside for the one or two. You have the best nutrition staff in the country. You have the best off the field people, the media departments. All these people are all preaching the same things. And I think that's different than some other schools where some of that stuff, the head coach is preaching a message and he stands for something, but maybe down the line, not everybody's following that same message. And it's different here. And so all those things all combine into one thing, into one pitch that made it really easy. Just here's the facts. The best answer. And
you've played a role in that. Yeah. That's cool. And the quarterback has to be the leader of the team even before he gets here. And it sounds like you've embraced that really, really well.
For sure.
Let's talk about, as we kind of wind down and wrap up here, let's talk about Jake Strong, not football related.
Okay.
Who are you? What do you care about?
I'm a nerd with cleats.
A nerd with cleats. I like it. What does that mean?
That means I enjoy math. You
enjoy math?
Yeah.
Like on purpose?
Yes.
You actually enjoy it?
Yes.
Okay.
I did my math homework at home. Actually, I probably did it at school before I got out of the class because I finished everything. But, nerd with cleats kind of sums it up, really. I hunt, I fish, and that's a big part of my life as far as pastime. I say I'm a nerd with cleats, but there's a lot of different things. I like water sports. I like cars. I like working hands-on.
Okay.
I kind of like everything. Okay. I'm good with photography. I'm good at editing video and photo.
Okay.
I like all kinds of music. So I don't know. There's it's so much that I don't really know how to talk about it all.
Jake, the well-rounded individual. Okay, so your plan is to come on campus early.
Yes, sir.
How? How does that happen? How do you get to graduate early? What are you coming in classified as from an hour standpoint, and how did all that happen?
I started young. Everything kind of came natural to me. I was always in the gifted and talented classes, which is kind of like accelerated versus the normal things. And then just moving through school, I always took, the highest difficulty of classes, whether that's pre-AP, AP, dual credit, dual enrollment now I think it's called, honors, whatever you want to call it. All throughout elementary, middle school, even now in high school, everything I always chose the most difficult that they had, and it still wasn't that difficult for me. And so I'll graduate. You asked me as far as like when I get here in January, where I'll be as a student. I'll graduate 21 hours, whether or not all those credits get accepted, which they should because they're all basic classes. I'll have 21 hours of college credit that I have earned. And I haven't just earned them, I've excelled in them. Everything is all A's in those dual enrollment classes. So I have a 4.0 non-weighted GPA, and then whenever our school does weighted and non-weighted, I almost have a 6.0 weighted GPA, which is
I didn't even know that was a possibility.
Talking to people, I guess that's kind of unheard of.
Yeah.
But that's all because of I'm taking the APs, the on ramps, the dual enrollment stuff, and so all of that's just kind of accumulated, not because I knew I was graduating early, but just because that's kind of like the path I chose. I've never had a B on my report card ever, and that's kind of a pride thing.
Yeah.
I feel very accomplished by that, and so all that's just kind of built up and everything aligned that way. I didn't have to take any summer school classes because I was ahead in all my academics. I'm not taking a math class this year because I already have all my credits for that, and so I just double up on credits that I need to graduate. And as far as NCAA goes, I'm already eligible to graduate. I could enroll here, but my high school has requirements that I have to fulfill. So I get that done this semester, and then I get my diploma and I'm good. So yeah, everything kind of just fell in line. All the stars aligned perfectly with that. And so, yeah.
Jake, it's impressive, man. It's really impressive. I've enjoyed the conversation. Enjoyed the conversation with your mom and dad too. We'll get y'all behind the mic next time, and dive in some different topics and different worlds. I want to ask you one more question, Jake. It's kind of a canned question.
Okay.
That in your shoes, I would probably be like, really got to answer this question. You don't have to answer the question if you don't want to, but I got to ask the question. And final question brought to you by Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate Blue Realty, where the expectation is to expect better from your real estate professional. So, Jake, expectations. You're coming on campus in January. Mm-hmm. What are you wanting to accomplish here at Texas Tech?
I think the very first thing I want to accomplish is to win the locker room. Like I talked about earlier, it's very important as a quarterback to have the trust and the accountability and the reliability of your teammates. And so I think that's going to kind of be my main focus. And how you do that is you work. I'm going to come in here. I'm not going to be that guy who thinks that I deserve something. Everything that I am going to obtain in my college career is something I'm going to work for. Yes, we're going to have some help along the way, and yes, you're going to have the facilitators and the support people around you that help you. But everything I'm going to have, I'm going to work for, and everything that I'm going to work for, I'm going to be good at. And so I think I'm going to win the locker room. That's my first thing that I want to do. And then the next thing off of that is just kind of learn how to be a collegiate athlete. I think that's important because You know, coming from high school, everything's very structured. You know, 8 periods a day, this time to this time. Everything's planned out for you. Mm-hmm. And so coming to college, you have all this free time now. You know, mom and dad aren't there. And so now what are you going to do? And so I think you have to adjust. I think my adjustment's going to happen a little bit faster than most just because I've had a great upbringing. And so once I get adjusted to that, and all this is happening simultaneously, keep in mind. So it's a multifaceted process that you have to go through. And so the next thing that's on the list is, you know, I'm competing for a starting spot. You know, that's my mentality. You know, I'm coming here for a reason, and that reason is to be successful. Mm-hmm. And so I mean, that's cut and dry.
Yeah,
that's kind of how it is, really.
Well, I think that's the attitude you got to have, right?
Yeah,
walking in like,
if you don't have that attitude, then are you in the right spot?
Right.
Yeah,
absolutely. Not Texas Tech. You got to come in with that winner mentality.
Exactly.
Jake, love it, man. Thank you so much. And I think we're Red Raider Nation. You're seeing bits of who this young man is. His parents are back behind the camera today, but obviously they have raised Jake with high expectations, and I respect that. And I think that Red Raider Nation, we're going to respect that too. There's a video of this guy, I think last season, cleaning up the bleachers after a game, and that floated around all over Texas Tech Twitter. You said, Jake, like you walked in with Coach McGuire, Coach Kittley, and the crew, and you just felt like it was real, and it wasn't BS, and you're not getting sold a package of junk. I think it's the same thing with you, man. Like sitting down with you, you can tell it's real. Like it's legit.
Yeah.
And I am so pumped to see you in that red and black and that double T next year. I messaged you on Twitter last night during the game. It's like, ooh, it's going to be fun seeing you down there on the field, repping the double T, running that offense. Got to earn it, right? Like you said, got to earn it. But you're coming in with the right mentality. This has been a lot of fun. Appreciate you taking the time. I took him from his breakfast, so I apologize for that. But thanks for sacrificing your breakfast this morning. Jake, any final word for Red Raider Nation?
Just keep being crazy. You know, I love that. I love the high energy. And I think everybody else, you know, I can speak for the other recruits. All the other recruits, you know, my class and lower. You know, everybody loves the crazy energy. We're laughing as all the tortillas are being thrown right after the message of don't throw anything on the
Red
field.
Raiders are crazy, man.
And I love it.
We're a crazy bunch.
And so just keep being crazy, you know. I think what you'll learn about not only me, but just this class in general that's coming up is that there's some dudes in here that would literally die for each other, and we're not even on the same campus yet. And so I think we definitely have something special coming, and I can't wait for everybody to see that.
Boom, let's go. As Coach McGuire says, let's go. Let's go. Jake, thanks, man.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Stacey Dean, thank you for taking some time. Safe travels on the road. Jake, we'll see you again very soon,
yes,
my
sir.
guy. Red Raider Nation, this has been the Player Spotlight from the Nation. See you on the next one.